There we go. All right, the recording is started, and this is the June 28th Rook community meeting. So let's jump on into our milestone checkups as usual. So we don't have a particular next patch release for 1.8 planned. 11 would be the next one, I believe, but there's not one specifically planned for that. So we can just skip ahead of that one, and we won't dive into that one. And then for one. Is that right, Travis? Did you say something or?
Yeah, I was just confirming that no known issues really needed for a release.
Got it. So then, yes, so 1.9.6, we did do a patch release for that since the last community meeting, and the release notes are available here. Anything like important that we want to call out within this this patch release for 1.9? Oh, wait, hold on a second. Is that the 1.9.6? That might be the wrong link.
Link might be outdated.
Let me just update this link here.
Copy paste issue.
There we go. All right, now here. Yeah, anything particular that we wanted to call out about the release notes, or these are sufficient on their own?
Yeah, pretty. I mean, typical release, some nice fixes, and I don't know that there's anything big to call out here.
Okay.
Unless somebody else wants to.
Sounds good. Then the 1.9.7 will be upcoming here, and I'm assuming that one's mostly that's a date-driven one without a particular feature that's driving it hard.
Exactly.
So yeah, the next recurring patch release for the 1.9 branch. Yes, what do we want to call out as coming up particularly, or a focus for this particular patch release? Anything in particular?
I'm not sure there's anything particular either for this. It's just the biweekly, and honestly, it feels like 1.9 branch is slowing down, so we might even go to tri-weekly, maybe, or is that right? The third, wait 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks before the release. But
right,
we'll see. Maybe we'll just do it next week and then go to 3 or 4 weeks after that cadence.
Yeah, so the next particular date we have down here is July 7th then. So yeah, not this Thursday, but the following Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we could bump the frequency down even further, or bump the frequency down from there.
Yeah, after 1.97, that probably makes sense.
Got it. Okay, that seems totally reasonable to me. All right, and then now for the next actual minor release here with 1.10 release, we can bring up the project board for that one. We have that tentatively scheduled for early August timeframe, so we have more than a full month still left in this release. So kind of sort of early, but maybe a bit halfway through the release cycle, I suppose. But yeah, let's talk through areas of focus for 1.10 then.
Yeah, I was realizing just before this meeting that everything we have in the roadmap for 1.10 doesn't have an issue tracking it yet, I think. So I need to make sure the board is updated. And 1.10 is feeling more like maybe it'll be a lot of documentation updates, and may not be a lot of big features, but maybe some smaller features definitely coming that will be nice to have.
You want to talk through the roadmap itself then, if we don't have issues open for everything, or do
real quick? Yeah, that sounds good.
We've got issues.
So there's issues for some of them. So removing support for Step Octopus. Yep, that Octopus is coming to the end of its life, and so we'll just naturally remove that support. And people could still keep using Octopus if they want with 1.9. It just won't be there in 1.10. Let's see, the crew plugin. That's we'd like to get some health checks in there that would make it really nice to just say, hey, run this analysis on my cluster and do that. I don't think that work hasn't started much yet. I think Shubham was going to work on that. Anything to report there, Shubham?
Not currently now, but yeah, I'm planning to take that and fix that after like 1 or 2 weeks, once I get more bandwidth, so that I can completely focused on this crew plugin. So
Yep.
not started yet, but yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, and that's honestly separate from the Rook repo and the crew plugin repo. So not really tied to the release either.
Mhm.
Just a nice to have it around the same time frame. Let's see, check for existing sub volumes before allowing a file system to be uninstalled. Actually, Blaine just merged that last week, and we did backport that to 1.9. So we got that earlier than 1.10. Then let's see, more specific CEPX accounts to differentiate the source of Ceph configuration changes. Yeah, that's in progress. Shabam's also got that going. That one, we'll see if it's ready. If we can get that debugged, I should look at that too. See if we can make progress there.
Yeah,
Then,
there are some issues from the Ceph command. So
yeah,
I saw that the patch got merged on the Ceph side. So I will
okay.
have to check if in which release that will come, and also have to check if that is the potential fix or not, because the error that was getting in the downstream Ceph was on some particular like environment of IPM and not in general Rook cluster. So the
Okay,
error was same, but yeah, let's see.
we'll see. Sounds good. And then there's node fencing for application failover. That one hasn't been started and make it. Well, honestly, I have a hard time seeing that one getting into the initial release. It's still a manual process, that's all. And then object store, Jiffin from object store, RW team is working through several new features there. And yeah, I'll just say there's some good progress on design docs so far and some code.
Awesome. So then, yeah, with all these different issues here, then it sounds like maybe we can follow up to get the board populated and reflecting what's going on there and what were the themes and in spirit of the milestone, the 1.10 release are.
Mhm.
Sweet. All right. Any other things to note on 1.10 or the efforts there? Alexander, anything from you there?
Nope. Nothing to add there for now.
All right. Okay. Then so that's all the milestone updates. So I guess we can go ahead along to the community topics section then. Yep, so July 11th is the due date for getting the maintainer track session stuff done, but that is submitted and completed and all good to go. Is there, did you, because I was just thinking about this morning actually. So the maintainer track thing, that's the only thing that I had seen so far. Did you all see anything about, a project pavilion or, office hours or anything like that also, or is it just the maintainer track talk thing?
I haven't seen that yet. I
Okay.
imagine it's still coming.
Okay, so because I didn't want to miss that. So okay, that's good. That well, but we've all missed it then, if that's the case. if they set it out, we all missed it. Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that's
Yeah, looking forward to being in person too with a real booth this time.
yeah, is that the plan then for Red Hat folks for in North America here?
Yeah, so far.
Awesome. Good. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome to be able to see you all as well.
As long as there's no more pandemic, yeah. Well done, right?
Fingers crossed on that one, buddy.
I shouldn't have said anything. Now it's cursed.
Yeah, you just jinxed us. Okay, sweet. So the documentation improvements, we can go ahead and move on to that topic.
Yeah, thanks to Alexander's efforts. We've got the new doc framework. You've all seen it for the past month or so, I'm sure. Alex, do you want to talk about the other checks you just added?
Sure. Yeah, so the documentation will now check for broken links, at least which are in the documentation. Well, the pull I get with Travis PR that has been merged, I think, just now. that helped, or at least like that was exactly one of the points where I was like, oh wait, yeah, sure, there is something missing, and now that we have to check. Yeah, it's coming along great so far, I think. I haven't necessarily heard, yeah, too much negative. I think some parts of the documentation might simply need to be adjusted as, well, how should I put it? The MKDocs Markdown renderer, I guess you can call it, is a bit stricter at some points. Like you can't start lists in the middle. Like you can do like 1, 2, and then just create a new list, which is at like 3 point, 4 point, and so on. But this seems to be less of a, this is MKDocs. This is an issue of MKDocs, but more often how Markdown syntax, or like the Markdown, yeah, well, I think RFC you could even call it, is interpreted by different people. So, but yeah.
But yeah, that's great. And
Yeah, thanks for that continued effort on all that doc stuff, Alex. It's definitely been pushing it forward.
yeah, and with this kind of refactoring of the cluster CRD doc that I did in the last few days, it was really nice to have the checks on the links, and now just to know the CI will validate it for us, so we never have broken links, at least within
Yeah, that's
the
amazing.
documentation. It won't work across, like if we're referring to GitHub docs from documentation or vice versa, right? But within the generated docs, at least it'll check. And yeah, just to point out real quick, so the cluster CRD doc used to be this huge, long monolithic thing. And now I basically broke out the 4 main scenarios we've got from that. So we got host, PVC base, stretch cluster, and external cluster. So each of their examples are in their own topic. And the cluster CRD doc is still pretty long with all the individual settings described, but at least the scenarios are all in their own doc, and hopefully much easier to find.
Yeah, I like that they're more discoverable or accessible as well. So you can, if you upfront, decide the type of scenario you want to follow, then you can go directly to that doc to get a little bit of focus time on it. I like that.
Yeah.
And then everything is, all the settings and stuff are still here. So we didn't lose any documentation, just got better organized.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But I think that's good for docs from my perspective, but just wanted to point that out.
Yep, sounds good. Blaine is, I think, not able to make it today. But did we have some progress or get to root cause on the NFS deprecation not being visible?
Yeah, so he and I chatted about it last week, but then I forgot to follow up. I think it was my action item to go ahead with this, because with the new doc framework, basically we lost, or the CI actions that published the previous format of the docs doesn't work anymore. And so we just manually need to update whenever there's an older documentation update, right? So we merged the, go ahead, Alex.
I could look into getting the changes that we need to the NFS project as well.
Yeah,
and also project. I had this on my map, but yeah.
So we could either fix that, or basically, since it's a deprecation notice where we're not planning on maintaining it anymore, we could just, my thought was just to quickly manually merge the new doc changes and then not worry about the CI for it. But I mean, if you want to fix those, that sounds good too. I was just assuming we didn't need to.
Well, as you said, like if it's just adding a block of HTML somewhere on the pages, I think it's definitely easier to just add that manually for that case. But yeah. Well.
Yeah, I'll just do that. I just need to remember to do it. So I'll put that in the action items and make sure that's merged. Someone actually posted in Slack today in the documentation channel, hey, I hear it's deprecated, but it doesn't show up in the docs that way. Oh yeah, thanks for the reminder. Yep, we'll get that fixed.
Perfect. Okay, and then so it looks like the final item that's on the agenda here is around the inline toolbox spec.
Yeah, so this just came up yesterday in our Rook huddle, and I thought it was an interesting thing just to mention here quickly. Is Yuval from the RGW team was asking, hey, how do I run a custom Ceph image for the toolbox? And it's like, well, we had to build the Rook image on top of it because we put our script in there that configures the toolbox. And Blaine suggested, wait, why do we need a separate script? Let's just put the script in line with the toolbox spec. And then the image for the toolbox just becomes the Ceph image, and we don't need a Rook image. So it's kind of just a cool little change, I thought, because it worked smoothly just to put the script in line with the spec. And I'm still trying to decide if there's a scenario where it'd be useful to have the Rook binary in the toolbox. Because there's a place we use it for running the toolbox as a job, like when we do an OSD removal job. So the OSD removal job will still use Rook in the image, and the toolbox job.yaml, that's a different example. It can just use the Rook image for the same reason in case somebody needs Rook. But I'm trying to decide if just to go ahead and merge this PR with the inline spec using the Ceph image, or if it'd be worth keeping Rook in the toolbox image by default and have it as a new example. So if anybody can think of why Rook should be in the toolbox, let me know, but maybe I'll keep it as a separate example. Anyway, still thinking about it. It's fresh off the press.
Interesting. And did the comments here on the PR were those things that made sense to you, Travis, and you have answers for?
Yeah, and I think he said at the end, "Oh, it worked." He just had some.
Oh, I see. Got it.
He just copied a file to temp that he was working.
Cool. Perfect. All right.
That's all.
Sounds good. Okay, so were there any other agenda items that folks wanted to bring up here before we adjourn? Okay, well, if that's everything. And we will go ahead and adjourn then. All right, well, good to see everybody, and thanks for all the effort.
All righty. Thank you, Jared. Good to talk to you.
Yep, it's good to see y'all. See you.
Have a good day.
Travis. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.